All right. So before this interview session, I just would like to get your confirmation that you consent to recording this interview, correct?
Yeah, right.
All right. Thank you
For
for that.
QA. Yeah, for QA, right? Yeah.
Yes, for KA. And
Hmm.
I just would like to start by introducing um, QA pillars. So we are here to help other QAs review or evaluate their portfolio or their CVs and check if there are any possible gaps between their experiences, and then prepare them for their future job opportunities. So
Yeah,
yeah, and the goal is to simulate a real interview by asking QA questions and for you to
yeah,
get to answer them with a more organized answers. So yeah, and this is the topics that you choose were the test automation framework, test execution and management, and then defect management. Correct?
yeah, right.
Cool. I might ask a few other questions in relation to quality assurance itself. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, right, right. You can go for that. Yeah, there is no issue.
Good. Good to hear.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah, right.
So let's start by I would just like to introduce myself. I am Marjorie. You can call me Marge, and I am also a software QA specialist based in the Philippines. And I have a combined 8 years of experience in both manual and automation. So can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Saril Sethiya. I am from India and I have a total 8-year experience in software testing. And I have a good experience in Selenium, Java, Cucumber, and C Sharp, Specflow. And I have good experience in mobile automation also using APM with Java and Gemini UI test with C Sharp. And I have a good experience in Agile and Jira also. And I have worked 4 domains till now, like blockchain domain and banking domain and real estate domain and healthcare domain. And yeah, I think that's it about me.
Okay, so for your most recent project, what are you testing and what tools do you use?
Okay, so recently, like from last 3 years, I am working as a freelancer. Okay, and like it was about the mainly like banking application. Okay, and there I was doing like automation, mobile automation, and web automation. So I have started it from scratch, like creating the framework using Maven and Eclipse, and then you need to add all the dependencies in form.xml, and then created like complete project folders and framework end to end. And in mobile automation also, I have used the Gemini UI test using C Sharp, so that I have done.
Okay, I just want to know what is your preferred tool and language for automation testing?
Okay, so based on the current market, I have good experience in Java, so I prefer Java and Selenium and Cucumber. And other than that, I have a like average experience in C Sharp also. So second preference is C Sharp and Specflow.
Okay, it sounds like you have a good programming background. And
Yeah.
so do you work alone or do you have a team of testers with you, or are you in a
No, no, no. I am
development?
alone. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
alone. I
Okay. So can you describe your daily task?
daily task like in last 2 to 3 years mainly like I am individual contributor. First role is my this one only individual contributor. So I'm doing my task like creating automation script. If smoke testing or regression testing is getting failed, then I'm doing fix in automation. And then if we have a team, then assigning the task to team and then reviewing their PR, helping them whenever they are getting stuck. So like this I'm doing.
Okay. So is your experience always BDD, or do you have other experiences in test driven or data driven development?
Yeah, so mainly I have a good experience in BDD Cucumber, but I have a little bit experience in TestNG also. So I can do work with TestNG. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. And how do you identify which or what test cases or use cases to automate?
Okay, so basically, as we know, like automation is mainly for regression and then functional testing. So we used to first identify smoke test cases because whenever development team build any deployment or anything, then smoke test cases should be executed first. So first we identify smoke test cases based on smoke testing concept like critical and high priority test cases like login, whether URL is working or not, and like this. And then we prioritize based on the regression testing. So we use text at the smoke at the regression. So like this from manual testing, we select that one and then we add same text in automation feature file.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So since you have a solid Java or C Sharp background, would you know the difference between a for loop and a while loop?
Yeah, for loop basically like whenever you will run, you will like execute for loop. That means like you are giving some condition. Like for example, int I equals to 0, and then you will give some kind of limit, right? And it will execute. When and after that you will match something like whether if else you will add after for loop, right? And while loop, what happens like when condition is not getting like it will first make sure whether condition is getting match or not. Then it will start their loop. So in big differences between like this, it will execute once while loop. Yeah.
That's good. All right. And have you used map or hash map before?
Actually, I have used hash map in my previous organization. So like there we have a key and value format. Like you will have a keys, and based on that keys you will have a values. So that I have used in Java like hash map equals to new hash map, and then there we used to define like key and values.
Mm, okay, good to know. And are you familiar with locators?
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain what they are?
Okay. So basically in Selenium we have a lot of locators like ID and class name, and then a CSS selector, and then we have XPath, and we have like what to say like link we can use partial links and these things, and so mostly those are the locators which we can use, and and we should go for I think ID or something unique like CSS selector, so it's too fast as compared to XPath and others.
Good. And do you know the difference between find elements versus find element?
Okay, so find element is basically it holds only one element, and find elements is a list of the elements. For example, if you want to iterate uh, like number of list, so the number of locators list, then you should go for find elements.
Okay. Do you know the difference between a relative and an absolute path?
Okay, so in relative and absolute XPath, we have major differences like both path are like first you will start with one forward slash and another you will start with double slash. Okay, this is the difference whenever we write the text path, and other difference is like when something has been changed. For example, you have added like five divs in XPath. So if any div deleted or maybe they have added new div, then you need to again fix that XPath. So we should go for that double slash XPath basically.
All
Yeah.
right. And are you familiar with annotations? Or I think in some what do you call these tools, it's called hooks. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, hooks. Yeah, yeah, right. I'm using that in Cucumber. We have a less annotations as compared to TestNG, But we can use like before feature after feature, before class after class, before suit after suit, before method after method, before test after test. So like this, we have a five to like 8 to 10 basically uh, annotations.
Good. And you mentioned Maven. Do you know what it is, and how is it related to POM XML? Can you explain the purpose of it?
Okay, so so Maven is basically type of projects when we select it, Maven project or Gradle project. So when you select Maven project, then it will give you like a default structure of Maven project, and then pom.xml will be created there. So there we need to add all the dependencies. Like if you are working with Excel, then you need to add Apache POI dependency. If you are working with JUnit and whatever, then you need to add basically date dependencies in pom.xml. So it's kind of project structure, and then that we can customize like feature file folder, and then base that pages folder, step definition folder, like this.
Okay. So you mentioned feature file. Can you explain what it is?
Okay, feature file is basically it's nothing like it's just BDD file. Okay, behavior driven development. So what we need to do, like whenever you need to create any feature file, so first you need to give like demo.feature, and then it will be created in the feature file folder, and then you need to write like Gherkin language commands like features. So you will write like verify the login page, and then you will write scenario. So scenario means like verify the successful login verification. So then you will add given, when, then these are the Gherkin commands. And you can use examples. So examples is like tabular data format. There you can give username and password in the tabular format that you can use in the picture file.
Good. And you also mentioned the step definition file. Let's say in my feature file, I'm not sure if you have encountered this. I tried to control click or command click a step, and it does not reference me to the step definition file. What do you think is missing, or what do you think is causing it?
Okay, so basically, whenever we create feature file definitions, so what we need to do is just dry run it. So for example, you created a login verification feature. So you need to dry run it and then just copy that all the step definition in your login step definition file. So all will be the same. Like you will need to identify regular expression. You just need to match it, and then you need to provide your code inside that. So it will be matched, because if you will just write it manually, then you can miss something, maybe regular expression or maybe some case sensitive information.
Okay. And when do we use Cucumber?
Cucumber basically mostly is came like for agile development when we are using agile methodology. So definitely we should go for the Cucumber, and because like in agile everybody will be there, like business like stakeholders, and then QA and the development team, and then a product owner or anything. So like in acceptance criteria also we can return that Cucumber feature file basically. So you can reuse it basically as a automation QA. We don't need to write anything again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to just Selenium, what do you think is the difference between explicit versus implicit weight?
Yeah, there are major difference between implicit and explicit weight. So, for example, when you are like defining implicit weight, so that means you will wait for particular time. For example, I'm waiting for one element, and I have mentioned like I will wait for 30 seconds. Then it will be waiting for 30 seconds. There is no like, because you already defined it. And in explicit weight, you will mention like for example, once this element is visible, then it will, so whatever time period you given, so till that time period, it will just check that element. If it's visible, then it will go ahead. That is the main. Yeah.
Okay, good. Um, so are you familiar with the difference between assert and verify? In some cases, they are referred to as hard assert or soft assert. Would you know the difference?
Okay, so basically in assert and verify, there are two different. Whenever as a QA, we should use assert, but sometime it happens like if you want to execute all the test cases, so that time you should go for verify because what it will do, verify will continue even test cases is getting failed. So you can get like end-to-end results report at the end, right? And in assert, it will fail the test cases and it will not continue with the test execution. So we should, I think, based on the project, we can select assert and verify. And apart from that, hard and soft assert, I think there are um, some difference, but actually, I'm not sure. I just forget it, but I know it. I have used it in previous projects. Yeah.
It's okay. Um, do you know what a page object model is?
Page object model is basically when we talk about page object model. So, like in one web page, we have a 10 to 20 or more than 20 elements, right? So you will define all the web pages. You will add all the locators to specific pages. And in base page, you will initialize all the classes using page factory. So page factory dot init. So basically this method you will use in base page and you will initialize all the classes, whatever you written for different locators web pages. So that we can use using page object model.
Okay. Um, what does running in headless mode mean?
Headless mode means basically as per headless we can say like uh, we don't need to execute it in Chrome or Safari or anything. Like it's just backend browser, like it will just execute on the server and then we will get the results. We cannot see the screen basically.
Okay. And once you're done with the execution, right, you get the reports for the execution. What tools have you used before?
I have used extent reports.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
And
have extent report plugin basically, so that we can add in our form.xml and then we will get HTML, JSON, everything like in the report format.
okay. And can you give me an example of the data or the information that that reporting tool provides for you and for the rest of the team?
Okay, so reporting tool, like when we use extent report, then it will provide number of uh, number of feature file, number of scenarios, number of failed scenarios, number of past scenarios, and then graph of percentage. For example, like 70% and green color will be there for the pass, and then red color will be there for the failed one, and then time executions, and then different feature files. So you can click particular feature file, and it will even display error also. So when you will click on that particular step, then it will display the error, and I think those are the measures which we will get.
Okay. Um, take all this. Are you familiar with equivalence partitioning or boundary value analysis?
I have worked with boundary value analysis in the previous organization. So they're like when we talk about boundary value analysis, so just give for example, like we have a one value or one field. There you given me like it should be 1 to 10. So you given me limit like 1 to 10. So I will verify 0, 1, 2, and then 11 and 12. Sorry, 10, 11, and 9. So that I will verify in that particular field. In API testing also you can use that, and in manual testing also you can use that. You can achieve it by Postman and then website both.
Okay. So let's say I'd like you to test a pin code input field, and the input must be at least 4 characters, so minimum of 4 characters, and then maximum of 6 characters, and it should only accept numbers. Can you walk me through on how you will test this?
Okay. So first, I will write like whether we are user is able to click on that pin code text field or not, and then user will verify whether he is able to give characters or not. If we are giving characters, we should get an error, right? So that will be the negative scenario, and then you will give some numbers first, and then after some numbers you will give some characters. Then also you should get an error, like it should be numerical only. And when you will provide like 3 digit of numerical numbers, then again we will get some error, like it's not matching with for example like number of digits or whatever, like input is invalid. And then we will verify 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. So these boundaries we will verify. We'll give phone number, zip code, and then 5, then 6, and then 7. So like this we will verify.
Okay. You mentioned that you work alone, right? Currently. Okay. So in your previous work, have you done any code reviews along with your teams?
Yeah, actually, whenever I'm working like as an individual contributor, I used to create a framework from scratch, and then I move to another project or maybe another framework, and then that framework I used to give my juniors. They will start working on it, and then I will review the PR, and then we'll merge the PR. And if they are getting stuck or they need any help, then I'm always there to help them.
Good. And what issues or not standard practices do you usually find?
Okay, in automation.
Sorry, I mean in code reviews.
In code reviews, like I think as per code reviews, first we should check like that what to say, like commenting, like how they are adding the comments for particular feature or something whenever they are adding. Then we should go for the case sensitive things, like what they have added and how it's working, then brackets, and then number of lines. For example, if you can use just 2 to 3 lines and you are using more than that, so it will be like taking more time to execute it. So complexity will be there. So we need to review it, like that lines whatever written. So it can be less or not. It can be less. Then again we need to provide some feedback to junior QA. So there, those are the main important things, and we can use reusable code. So we need to focus on that. Like we are not writing duplicate code.
Mm, okay, good. So okay, moving on to defects. When logging a defect, what details do you usually include?
So whenever we are logging a defect, first you need to provide the summary, like title, basically. What is the title? So title should be clear, and then you need to provide all the steps, reproducing steps, like first, second, third, and whatever steps are there. And then you need to add expected and actual results, and then you need to add screenshot and video recording of that particular defect, and then you need to assign to someone, and then you need to select priority and severity, and then you need to mention that environment, UAT, production, or whatever. And then you need to select like whether you when you want to fix it, like in current sprint or maybe in backlog or something. And then you need to just create it. So that is the flow, like flow of the writing defect steps and
Okay.
all.
So you mentioned priority and severity. Do you know the difference between the two?
Okay, so priority and severity, basically like when I say like I got one URL from the development team and that is not working. And so for in this case, like I cannot go ahead because URL is not working. So then priority and severity both will be critical, because like severity means like business purpose, and even I cannot use the URL. So priority will be critical and severity will also high and critical. And if we talk about like login, as a one user, like all users can log in, but one user is not able to log in. So then in this case, like severity will be medium and priority will be high, because that user cannot use that particular platform. Yeah.
Good. So, how do you handle issues that are intermittent? So, I'm not sure if you've encountered that, but do you do any investigation?
So yeah, sometime it happens like we are getting some random issues and which we don't know like why we are getting, and development team is saying like we are not able to reproduce it, and QA team is saying like we also got one time and we are not able to reproduce it again. So we use like random or intermittent issue title in the defect, and there we just put it in some notes and backlog, and we try to reproduce it. And whenever we get chance and whenever dev team is free, we usually ask them to provide some kind of RCA so that we can focus on that intermittent issue like why we are getting it. So that we used to do.
Okay, good. Have you encountered an escape defect before, and how did you handle it?
Which one?
Have you encountered an escape defect? For example, there was a defect that made it to production, and this is something that should have been caught by QA but wasn't. Have you experienced that before?
Yeah,
And
yeah, it happened. Like sometime it happens, but again, it's based on the like how you verified that build. For example, sometime it happens like you are getting lot of builds, and you are not able to focus on regression testing, or maybe due to lot of builds. So that time, I think definitely we should catch the defect. But sometime it happens we missed it. So then there will be some reasons why we missed it. Maybe that scenario you did not verify, or maybe due to lot of bills you were not able to focus on that. So that we need to convince the client like, or maybe whoever got it basically.
and do you have any discussions on how to move forward from that with the team?
I think if we get any issue in the production, then I will definitely set up the meeting with QA team, and then I will discuss with them why we got this issue, and they will give some reasons definitely, like due to lot of bills or they have missed that particular features or something. So then I will talk to them. I will like review again the all the things like smoke, regression, critical, high, whatever test cases are there, and then based on that, I will make sure like whenever you guys given sign off all the test cases with results, then only we will move forward to the build to the production.
Okay. Uh, a few last questions. Would you know the difference between regression testing and smoke testing?
So regression testing is basically whenever development team fix any bug, or whenever development team add any new feature. So that time QA team needs to make sure that existing features are working or not. It should not impact existing things. So that is the main part of regression testing. In smoke testing, what we do like whenever development team build any release, we need to make sure that critical and higher things are working or not. So that is the part of smoke testing. Like we will verify the URL is working or not. We will verify the login is working or not. If it's in banking domain, then we will make sure like we are able to check data account details or not. We are able to do payment or not. We are able to use credit card, debit card, everything or not. So those kind of scenarios we will add in the critical and higher.
All right. And final question, what is exit criteria?
Exit criteria, like it's kind of test closure report. So in that case, we will make sure all the like RTM should be there, okay, and so that we can make sure whatever user stories are there, so that is completed or not. And then we need to make sure test execution results along with test cases, test steps, and then expected result and actual results, and along with that test report for particular build release note. We need to make sure like non issues, whatever are there, that should be part of exit criteria, and requirements are matching or not. And apart from that, that are the main part I think that we can do.
Mm, okay. So actually, that concludes my questions. Do you have any questions regarding this interview?
No, I don't have any. And if you have any opportunity, then just let me know. I'm
Sure.
okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Actually, I think I can provide a quick feedback right now because
Mm.
with this interview, you're actually very, very technical, and I think you have answered almost all of my questions. And these questions, I believe, are
Yeah.
the
Right.
questions you can only get from someone with an extensive experience in um, automation. And surprisingly, you also have what do you call it, a concrete understanding of manual testing, which
Yeah. Right.
ANSI, it's also pretty rare for automation testers. I mean, just in my experience, but yeah. And I will forward this interview to Ben. Were you in contact
Okay.
with Ben? And then,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
yeah, I think he will give you more feedback and what to do next on this interview.
Okay. Sure.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Saril.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Thanks for